No.
But like I said, the whole movie kind of it was very. I think it's called hyper real, where it's like it's real, but
it's hyper realistic.
It's too much almost, even though it's real.
It's a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a little bit too realistic.
Yeah, but I was. If you just
hyper-realism, is that a thing? Yeah.
Yes, hyper-realism. I think that's what you call it, yeah. And if you just accept that, then the whole movie makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
true.
And they get their point across, which I think is the most important thing. Which is
and
also...
ultimately, it's very entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
We kept sitting there going like, oh, maybe he isn't the killer. Maybe that's the twist.
Yeah,
not that I was looking for a twist. Like, I didn't have that in the back of my mind even, that like, oh, he always has a twist. No, I never think of that until you mention it.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. But I kept going like, most movies do have a twist of some sort. So maybe he isn't. Maybe he's just like a undercover cop or whatever.
Yeah. No.
Maybe the artist is the killer. Maybe, I don't know, one of the backstage people is the killer. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm glad that there wasn't a big twist like that.
No, you didn't need it.
No, exactly, and that would have then it would have felt cheap. Like, oh, the whole thing was just. It's kind of like when the movie ends with the protagonist waking up, like, oh, that was just a dream. Thank God.
Yeah.
No, that's cheap.
That's a cop out.
That's a cop out. This didn't have a cop out.
No,
it didn't have a twist cop out, which was good, because a good twist is hard to do, which I think is why so many people went like, oh my God, when he did it basically twice in 2 movies.
Yeah.
Early in his career, when he actually pulled off a great twist. And then they were kind of looking for twists in his other movies, and even if they didn't really have any twists, they were like, is this the twist? Is this a twist? And that took away from him as a filmmaker. He became it became a meme. People were just looking for the twists in his movies.
Instead of actually watching the movie.
Yeah. Which I think, even though he definitely, like I said, he's made some real stinkers.
Sure.
He might be one of the most uneven directors of all time. Like, he's made like certified.
I think we've said that like 10 times.
I know, but
yeah.
Certified classics like The Sixth Sense and Signs and Unbreakable. But then he's made some of the worst movies, like Lady in the Water and After Earth.
Yeah.
But then, like, to say that he's like in his renaissance now is not fair, because this renaissance of his has basically been going on for 10 years.
Yeah, when
he came back,
like every other movie is a good movie.
Yeah, exactly, because he came back.
Barely.
He came back after Earth and did The Visit, which was like, okay, Hollywood doesn't want to give me $100 million anymore, so I'll make a movie for like $5 million. Have you seen The Visit?
It's a great movie. I didn't know he had made it when I watched it.
And the
twist at the end.
Yeah, it's actually which, once again, I think that's the cheapest part of the movie.
But it's really good though.
Yeah, I guess.
Because you have no clue at all. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with her grandparents?
And then he followed that up, of course, with Split, which is an amazing movie.
Yes.
But then, then he wanted to do his like superhero follow-up to that with what's it called? Glass. It's not his worst movie, far from it, but it's so bad. It's so blah.
It didn't hold up to Split.
No,
which was the issue.
No, not at all. But then, of course, what did he do after that?
Old.
Was it Old the next? Okay.
And then Knock at the Cabin.
But yeah, then he did Knock at the Cabin, which feels like people dismissed a little bit because of Glass and Old. But Knock at the Cabin is great. We've talked about it. I think on a... No,
I think there was a patron?
Was it a real episode? A real episode.
Free episode?
If it wasn't, check us out on patreon.com/don'tmagazine to see our review of Knock at the Cabin. It's a great movie. And my favorite actor to hate, Dave Bautista, is actually great in it. That's like his best performance. He's so good in it. That whole movie is amazing.
Sorry, I'm like skimming through our little list, but I can't find it. Okay. Maybe it was last year?
Then it's probably... Yes, it was last year. It came out last
right.
year, so. Anyway. And then this. But I think at this point he has more like good or even great movies than he has bad movies.
Yeah. He's past that point at least.
Yeah. And
it's taken a while.
And I see if anyone noticed that we basically mentioned every one of his movies now except for The Happening. And that is because kind of like this one, that one is bad, but kind of like this one, I feel like it is like intentionally silly. Like you're almost supposed to laugh at it.
He didn't take himself seriously when he did it.
No.
That's the one with the flowers, right?
Yeah, when the trees kill you with pollen.
I haven't actually seen it, but I've heard enough to like know what it's about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch flowers spread dust to kill people. Sounds weird. I don't have time to watch that.
It is such a weird movie. And it doesn't work. That's the thing. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors that make that movie not work. But
even within movie magic kind of premise.
Yeah, no, stuff like the writing and our two lead actors are just terrible together. Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel.
Right, yeah.
Zero chemistry.
And they're supposed to be a couple, right?
Yes.
Like married even.
They're like, yeah, but it's on the rocks. Like, ugh, you know.
Right.
But the thing is, like, Mark Wahlberg is so wrong for that role. And Zooey Deschanel, she's very like, you know, she's kind of passive in real life, or at least as a person we see. And she plays an even more passive character in this movie. So she's like a ghost. She just doesn't exist. Oh. It's terrible.
See, I always associate both of them with more of a comedic kind of movie.
Yeah.
Which then doesn't
really work, because the premise is very serious, but it feels like they're not always taking it seriously. That's where that tone doesn't work in that movie. Where it does work is in Trap, because it is a serious, obviously serious movie, but it is laugh out loud funny several times. Like, I laughed more at this than like comedies nowadays. It definitely passed the Mark Kermode test, 6 laughs in 90 minutes. I think I laughed 6 times in the first 15 minutes. No, first half hour.
30.
Yeah.